There is one important thing that I've learned, that comparison is the thief of all joy. The moment you start comparing your life with the other person's life, or your journey with the other person's journey, somehow you miss the game, you miss the train. So, focus on what you are really good at doing and do it to the best that you can. In my way, perfection, if you say, it's like doing things, the best you can.
Welcome guys to Keep Me Inspired. My name is Sargam Mishra and I am your host for this show. Every 15 days I will be interviewing today's most inspiring and successful personalities who will range from CEOs, YouTubers, authors and other change makers in order to help you to make early life-changing decisions and realize your true worth.
This is episode number 7 of Keep Me Inspired podcast show with Sargam Mishra.
Hello everyone, in this episode we have with us Sargam Mishra. Sargam Mishra is a certified pranic healer and an Arhatic Yoga Practitioner. She is blessed with extraordinary scanning abilities. She is a successful life coach and helps her client not only in healing but also evolve into their best version. She is the founder of Zero Hunger Drive, a community based initiative which has fed nearly 25,000 people. She is the founder of Inner Alchemy and she is the host of the podcast The Millionaire Way. And I recommend you guys to tune into that podcast to become magnet for attracting success and abundance in your life. Welcome to my podcast, Keep Me Inspired. Thank you so much for being here, ma'am.
Thank you, Shiva. Thank you for inviting me.
Ma'am, I would like to start our conversation by taking you to your childhood. I want to know how you were as a kid.
Okay, so I grew up in a middle class family. My dad was a public servant, and my mother was a housewife. We are two sisters, and so humble beginnings. I studied, I finished my schooling in Lucknow. We are basically from Lucknow, and studied in Loreto convent school. And after school, college. After college, I did my engineering from Lucknow, and then did my MBA from ICFI Mumbai, and then got campus selected with a large IT corporation, and served there for almost 14 years. So this is like my journey from childhood to where I am today. So like every normal kid or every normal household, this is my journey.
Ma'am, how did you enter this lesser traveled road? Like in India, I think everyone are into engineering or medical or CA, and very limited options our Indian generation gave us.
That's right.
Like you are into completely different path. Like you have, I think you have converted your passion into your profession. Can you tell us how did you do that?
Yeah, I completely agree. For people who are born and brought up in India, mostly, in the back in the 80s, um, every parent used to aspire that the child would grow up to be either an engineer or a doctor. That were the two options that were available to us, and similar happened with me. So I could either become a doctor or become an engineer, and because I was too scared of blood and all those things, I decided I cannot be a doctor, so I should get into engineering. And because our parents work so hard with us, most of the time we end up getting good marks. So it became like an option. Science was an option for me, so I chose mathematics and then became an engineer. But each of us has our destiny, and probably if you're seeking to do something more meaningful in your life, your soul will keep searching for it. And that's what happened with me. After I got married, there were a certain phase of my life that I was really seeking out to understand, is this life that I was living, is this the only thing that was meant to happen to me, because I was doing fairly well in my profession, and I had a lot of opportunity to travel on site and meet people who had done really well in their life. So when I used to, I was like a young consultant onboarded, onto these teams who were working abroad, and I used to follow, follow these senior consultants and talk to them for like have good conversations about their life and what would they want to do next. And somehow I realized that every person was looking for happiness, and happiness was like it became a pursuit. So they thought, okay, you get a job, you'll be happy. You get an on-site, you'll be happy. You get more money, you would be happy. You get
Mhm.
married, you would be happy. So like we do everything to seek happiness, but to stay happy is like you can do it anytime. You don't need a reason to be happy. You can be happy and blissful and joyful 24 by 7. And that is what I wanted to seek. Why people can cause pain, why situations cause pain, and is there a way that we could just stay with our happiness instead of being impacted by situations in life that happen to us? Or are we a victim of our circumstances, situations, or we create our own destiny? Those were the two questions that I really used to think about. Like, do we create our destiny? If we do, then why are we creating so much suffering in our life? And if we do not have any role in our destiny, then probably it's useless to live, because you can't change anything. So that is how these are the two main questions that bothered me at that point of time. It was around 2012, and somehow I had this inclination to travel to Ladakh. And I was married, and my husband said, going to Kashmir or near around Kashmir was also dangerous, and we should not make a travel to such place. But somehow I had a calling, and then I ended up traveling to that place. I met somebody who talked about energy healing to me, and I looked up. Once I came back, I looked up what it meant. And when I searched, I wanted to join that course. I wanted to understand this other side of life. So I went, I studied, I got my, a graduation in energy healing. And then I started practicing. And when I started practicing, I could, I actually struggled for 2 to 3 years initially, because somehow things were not changing. I was doing forgiveness, I was following all the self development practices and the energy healing practices that I learned. But, at one point of time, I realized that, if I keep focusing on my pain, then probably I will not be able to do anything else in my life. So what I started doing was helping out people
Mm.
heal their pain. So, if a person was suffering, I used to do physical healings. If there was an emotional issue, then I used to do a lot of emotional healing for these people. And that is where my life started transforming. I would have done like an online event of relationship healing where I had 2,000 people joining and doing what I was telling them to do. And out of that event,
Wow.
I got so many success stories, and so many life got transformed, that I continued doing that event. Like, I still do it once a year during Valentine's month, February. And I could see a change in so many people's life, and that is where my own issues start to fade away. When I
Mhm.
focus so much on bringing good to other people, probably my problem started looking smaller, because I got connected to women who were going through far more issues in their life, or people who were suffering to a different degree altogether. And then somehow I felt probably I'm just whining for something which is very, very temporary and small. And that is how I got into practicing the energy healing work, crystal therapy, and understanding more about abundance mindset, about what is the code to becoming extraordinary, doing my self learning, becoming a student once again. But this time it was more from understanding life. Right. So I did my MBA,
Mhm.
and MBA was all about business. But I feel somewhere the youth of today is missing out on handling life. And that is not taught in any school. So we have to understand what is life and what is it that we want from life, which is the core of everybody's purpose. I think that should be the core of our purpose, to understand our life and what is it that we really, really want. And once you start pursuing that, you can make a difference to your life, and you can make a difference to other people's life. And that's how, the passion bit started growing and growing, and then I could not contain it. And this is what it is. We have the Millionaire Way, inspiring thousands of people. We have the healing programs, helping heal people's life. I have my Zero Hunger initiative, which is feeding the needy and the poor. So all of this, if I had thought about just being an IT professional, all of these would not have been possible. So when I just took this bolder step of living an extraordinary life in my own way, I could see, I could contribute to much more.
Ma'am, is it compulsory when you about to live an extraordinary life? Is it compulsory to know everything, to figure out everything, or in the process you will find out it?
Absolutely. You don't have to know it all. See, I always used to feel that you have to be an expert, in order to be at a certain position. That's how we are taught, from the beginning of our learning. We are told to become an expert in our field. And I used to feel that, becoming an expert has its own journey. So you can't be an expert once you've just entered a particular domain or, a field of learning. But it needs time and process and a lot of mistakes that make you an expert. So if you keep thinking about being an expert and then starting something, probably you are missing out
Mhm.
on the journey. But it is like, you create your own avatar of what you want to be 10 years down the line and start taking baby steps in order to reach that destination. And trust me, you will find people who would want to join that journey with you. So, your journey becomes the journey of an expert in that area. So I feel that is how you should start. You should never think that, once you become an expert, that is where you will start your journey. Your journey begins now. And probably that would become something to reflect on in the years to go by. Like we see, probably a Mahatma Gandhi, or we see teachers like Jack Canfield or Tony Robbins, or, Vishen Lakhiani. We see Rajiv Talreja. So all of these people are a result of their imperfect self taking the journey to perfection.
Ma'am, in your path of less traveled, what are the struggles you faced and what are the advantages you faced in your lesser traveled road of the millionaire way? Like, even I think you might got some rejections while you were inviting some of the great guests to your podcast.
Okay, that's sweet. Yeah, absolutely. I would call them rejection. Probably, one of my friend who was also in the podcasting journey, he's got a lot of amazing guests on the show, and he is also one of the reasons why, I had the courage to reach out to people in order to interview them for my podcast. But, one of my mentors, Jack Canfield, he says that, ask, keep asking. That is the biggest power that you have. To accept or to reject is not something that you need to focus on. You need to focus on being open and ready to ask, because out of the 99 people, maybe,
Mhm.
80 people won't say yes. But then those 19 people will say yes, and that is your biggest win. Had you not asked, even those 19 would not have been possible. It's part of it, and it takes some time to reach to that understanding, but probably one should begin. So keep asking. That is the secret to getting anything you want in your life. Ask and you shall receive.
Ma'am, in the Millionaire Way podcast, you teach us a lot of attracting abundance in your life and give us so many different kind of education. Can you tell us what is our Indian education system is lacking and how can it be made more better? What kind of topics should be introduced to students?
Yeah, that's a great question, Shiva. See, in the education system, or the background that we come from, probably having a good material life is always considered to be evil. If we see people who are really living an abundant life or who are doing very well in their life, at the back of our mind, we keep thinking that probably this person has taken a wrong way to reach where he has reached.
Mhm.
Money does not come in easily. You have to sacrifice a lot in order to sacrifice a lot of good in order to get money into your life. So those are the notions that the past generation has been brought up with. So probably, we were all born abundant, but somewhere in this journey of life, we started to focus on the lack. that is available, and we were actually programmed to see lack in everything. So from your childhood you would be told
Mhm.
that money doesn't grow on trees, you cannot have it all, you have to pay a price for success,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure, like I have heard these things, and probably you would have also heard. So what we do, like I have a 5-year
Yeah.
old daughter, and she doesn't know that things come from money, right? She has no idea. She knows that I will say and I will get it.
Mhm.
So money was never a concept in a child's life. But gradually, slowly, when people are talking about money, when people have these belief systems around money, somewhere we understood that in order to get anything in our life, we have to work very hard. We have to earn a lot of money. That is the way it works. But for
Mhm.
a child, if you see, they hardly know a concept about money. They hardly know that,
Mhm.
you cannot have anything. They'll keep asking you a zillion times till they have anything in their life. But as you grow, asking becomes a shameful act. We are told that if you ask too much, then probably you are not good. Good people don't ask. Everything comes and falls into your lap. Karm karo, phal ki ichha mat karo. So these kind of conditioning are actually programming you
Mhm.
to become poor and have a lack mentality. And what I'm doing now and understanding is that if we deprogram or reprogram our mind to look into abundance that is available to us, or tune into the abundance that we were born with, we are all capable of creating an extraordinary life. We all know that India was called Sone ki Chadiya at one point of time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And today we see India as a third world country. It is all a matter about perception. It's all a matter about shaking the belief system of the people in India. So if you want to go back to making India a Sone ki Chadiya again or a prosperous country, we all need to become responsible for the abundance and prosperity that we want to create and contribute to the economy in our own way. So the abundance mindset, the unlock the abundance code, that is the program that I'm working on, and I'm doing it every Sunday at 5 p.m. This is all about connecting people with the abundance that they already are. We are all abundant in our own way, and if we tune into that abundance and work in our life with a place or with an energy of abundance, there is nothing that we cannot achieve. There is nothing that probably we will ever lack, whether it's in relationship, whether it's in health, whether it's in your finances or career. Everything, you become a magnet to all these great opportunities in life. And I'm seeing it in my life, and I feel, if I can do it, anybody can, because you don't need any superpower for it.
Ma'am, when I was exploring this self-development thing,
Hmm.
when I went to your channel as well, there you spoke about you are conducting so many workshops,
Yeah,
and you also spoke on the topic called as inner game.
right.
I know in this small time you can't explain everything of what is inner game, but can you give us some overview of what is inner game and how to master our inner game?
Absolutely. See, um, if we look at our life, it is made up of 4 dimensions. These 4 dimensions are your physical life, your emotional life, your thoughts, your mental life, and your spiritual life. Spiritual is all about your energy and soul. So what we are doing is we are very focused on what is visible. That is the 1/4 part of our physical life, and we all work based on the reality that we see. An inner game is all about mastering the 3/4 of your life which is not visible, which is your emotional self, which is your mental self, which is your spiritual self. And in our older text, we've seen that, like for example, the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about the scene wherein the Krishna is sitting on the chariot, and there are 5 horses that are taking Arjun to the battlefield, and he's talking about the entire Bhagavad Gita. We are told that these 5 horses are our senses. The body is the vehicle. Krishna is the consciousness, right? So these concepts were there in our mythology, and they had a very deeper meaning, which probably we overlook because we became so Western influenced that somehow we forgot about these basic concepts that were drilled into our life, the concepts of karma, the concept of virtues, character building. These were all giving and receiving. These were all inbuilt into our system. But because we were so focused about the physical life, the material life, we forgot about these inner aspects. So mastering your inner game is all about creating a blueprint, or you can say energetic architecture, for what you want in life, what you want to become, how you want to see your future self, which can create a material reality that you want. So, for example, if you want to become a millionaire, it doesn't start from straight away from earning the amount of money that you want. It starts from thinking, believing, acting, and energy wise becoming the millionaire, rather than you know just going out and earning the money. So your inner game is all about creating that version of yourself which is a super attractor, which is a magnet to becoming a millionaire. And you may not see it now, but over a period of time, because you are living mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as a millionaire, there is no choice for the universe,
to give it to
but
you.
to give it to you. Yeah. So that is the inner.
Yeah, that is very well said about just like radio waves, we have to match the right frequency. We have to tune our emotional, physical to get that, I guess, and it will become a reality.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ma'am, what is something most people you have come across are unaware regard to mental health?
See, the one thing that I see is we have to understand that health, health again is a combined thing. It should be physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. You have to take care of health in all these four dimensions. Now, because science is, a science or alternate medicines is tracing back. So we understand that the physical issues that we're having in our life are actually not rooted in the physical body. It starts from the thoughts that we think, right? So it
Mhm.
becomes more about the mental health. But as I come from the energy background, and all the research that I've done, I feel it's not only about mental health, it's about emotional health, it's about your spiritual health. And when you strike a balance in all these four dimensions, you have no choice but to be healthy. So what you think, what you feel, and the way you manage your energy is the way to total health, total vitality, to living a better physical life. So when people are talking about mental health, it's great, it's good, because now we are understanding that the root cause is not in the physical body. It emanates from the thoughts we are thinking, from the thinking that we've actually created, our belief system. All of this is impacting the health that we are creating. So now mental health is being given a lot of priority, is giving being given a lot of importance. But apart from the mental health, slowly and gradually we will move to the emotional health, and we will also move to the spiritual health. That is where your meditation, your awareness, your higher practices that we do for creating a higher consciousness all becomes very important. Because once you start mastering that, your emotional, mental, and physical will start falling into perfect shape.
Ma'am, I also want to ask more on this meditation. Whoever successful people I consider, it may be Robin Sharma or anyone, they have one or the other kind of meditation practice in their life.
Hmm.
So one of my favorite mentor told me something about Vipassana,
Right.
and I'm gonna do this on December. So I want to know your thoughts on Vipassana meditation.
Okay. See, I've not done Vipassana, but what I will tell is any form of meditation that we do is basically trying to connect you with you. Right?
Mhm.
So the whole point is in this fast paced life, we are busy connecting with X, Y, Z, but somehow we are losing connection with me or with I. So every meditation practice helps to connect with yourself. And Vipassana, like from the way that I've heard from people, it's about just being quiet and silent for a few days, to basically calm down your thoughts, to be aware about be aware to a greater degree, because your mind is, we call it a monkey mind, because it's constantly chattering, constantly throwing your fears out into your reality, so that you are busy working on your fears. But once all of that settles down, when you're silent, then you can see life beyond it. And
Mhm.
for each one of us, I think, to understand the deeper meaning of life is very, very important, because that is where your true purpose unfolds. That is where the true meaning of your life unfolds. Because the more you get into knowing yourself and bring awareness about your strengths and what you can bring to this world, is a gift. And probably because we are so outward focused, we don't focus on these things. We think about the external part of things, but there's a lot of things that are happening internally, which are which come into focus when you internalize. And that is what these meditation practices, like vipassana, can help you do. So all the best for your vipassana. I would really look forward to hearing from you your experience.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And would you mind to let us know what is your daily routine?
Sure. So my daily routine, see, I'm a very flexible person, and this could be looked as sometimes, the way we expect spiritual teachers, or these extraordinary people to perform or to have a very strict schedule. I don't have that, Shiva.
Mhm.
For me, because this year I had to get my dad also as part of my family, as he was not feeling well. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I have a husband who is working full time, and a lot of management that needs to be done in the home, because I am the lady of the house.
Mhm.
There are things that I have to prioritize in my life. So based on prioritization, I have a schedule about my spiritual practices, prioritizing about the work that I do, calendarizing everything that needs to be done in a particular month, the workshops that I want to put out, connecting with the clients. All of that is part of my daily routine, because that is my work and I'm so passionate about it. Even writing. So to start off with the schedule, it's normal, getting up in the morning and doing a gratitude for the things that I have, because I feel gratitude is one of the most important emotional and mental state that you can be in. So when you start your day with gratitude, it gets the fear out of your field. So you get more time, you get more energy to focus on things that are important to you, rather than you're scared about. So gratitude is one practice that is a must during the day. Then taking care of your health. Probably water is one thing that I feel we should make an integral part of things. And like I'm an energy person, so in my house I would program crystals. I would program even water
Oh,
for yeah, for things that I the energy that I want in my surroundings. So small rituals that I keep doing for my skincare, for my health, having a crystal water bath or drinking crystal water. These are the things that will constantly keep me energized in order to do things better. I also work on feng shui and the vastu part of things. And
mhm.
so all of this, whatever can add to optimizing my productivity, whatever can add to optimizing my health and well-being, that becomes a part of my daily ritual. And like I say, I take help from crystals. I take help from food, in order to keep me healthy and stay at a high energy vibe all the time. Yeah, meditation being one of them. I might miss out on physical activity at times, but because of a small kid at home, I'm always on my toes.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah,
Ma'am, are you a perfectionist or a doer kind of person?
I'm a doer. Perfectionist. I don't believe in perfectionism, because we are capable of creating better versions. And if we stick to perfection, that quality of creating better perfection, you miss out on that. So everything has a scope of improvement. Nothing can reach perfection.
And I think there is someone always better than you in that particular area.
Absolutely. And, Shiva, there is one important thing that I've learned, that comparison is the thief of all joy. The moment you start comparing your life with the other person's life, or your journey with the other person's journey, somehow you miss the game, you miss the train. So, focus on what you are really good at doing and do it to the best that you can. In my way, perfection, if you say, it's like doing things, the best you can. Give your best to whatever you're doing, and that is how you play a better game. And you can create more in less time.
Mhm. Ma'am, one of the most common question for our age students, and even I had this question some part of my life. Even still now, I'm not so clear on this.
Mhm.
Can you tell us? There is always a thought like finding your partner kind of thing in this age group.
Yeah,
Like you want your better half, you want to find your better half, and some are like after you find that you will do this.
correct.
Can you just explain us what the concept of soulmate or a kind of need we feel on having a relationship?
Absolutely, yeah. That's such a interesting question, and I really understand this well, because I mine is a love marriage, and my husband found me when we were like 20 years old in college.
Mhm.
So it started off very early in my life, and I was a person who never believed in having a love affair, or being in a love marriage situation, because I had my priorities set. I was very clear about what I wanted in my life. I was a very good academically, doing very well, and very sorted in my head.
Mm.
But when he came in my life, I was like, okay, maybe probably, it'll go away in a year, then it'll go away in 2 years, and it'll go away in 3 years. And we did our engineering like together. And then we end up in the same MBA college. And then, after we completed MBA, that is where we parted away. I got a different company to work with. He got a different company. He was in Mumbai. I was in Lucknow. So again, we came together. We got within a year we got married. So it's been like a 7 years thing that I knew him, and then we got married, and now it's almost like 20 years. Yeah, 20 years that I know him. It's been a long journey. So planning your life is great, but I feel every relationship, from my experience of a love marriage, every relationship helps to make you grow. And when I say grow, it could be, through pain or through love. It depends, because, the more, when two people come closer, there is a lot of friction that happens, right? There would be things that you would not love
Mhm.
about the other person. See, initially everything is like perfect. But what happens is, gradually and slowly, the more you know about the person, it could be the way he eats, the way he snores, the way he walks, small things you start noticing. It's all about focus, so
Mhm.
when you focus on a relationship, after a time you will start seeing the minute details of your relationship. And then the whole soulmate thing comes crashing down, because when you get into a love affair, you think this is the one, and life will be happily ever after. That is what we are made to believe through all the
Yeah,
Disney stories.
and
Yeah,
movies.
the Bollywood movies, Shah Rukh Khan, and the Kajol and the Raj and Simran of the world. But when you come together, they will never show you, how they are fighting, and how they are, quarreling on small things, like you don't keep your room tidy, or you have these bad habits of throwing things around, or you are not appreciative enough, or you don't understand what I really want in life. But all of these are very human emotions, and that happens, in a relationship anyway. But we have to understand that there is a life beyond relationship, or there's a life beyond, getting married. So each one of your friends, or anybody who is listening out there, the soulmates probably are people who will trigger you. These, so you have to be really
Mhm.
prepared about, about knowing all the bad parts about you, or all the shadows within you, because these people would be able to look through you and see the grayness, or the not so goodness about you. And what every relationship does is forces you to become a better version of yourself. But if you think that criticism will weigh you down, then that relationship becomes very, very sad. That relationship becomes very unfulfilling. But if you start improving yourself, seeing that, taking that feedback constructively, you can emerge to be a great version of yourself. So in my life, like my husband, we've had a fair share of misunderstanding. We've had a fair share of tough life, and expectations. But over a period of time, what I've understood is no matter if I'm with X or Y or Z, the whole idea of my life is to grow and evolve to my best version. And when I start taking responsibility about my life, about my growth, about my journey, every person who comes in my life is a happy experience. So instead of looking for soulmates, instead of looking for people who will come and love you, people who will accept you, people who will understand you, start becoming that. You become the lovable person that you want to seek. You become the understanding person that you want to be understood as. So, being you need to be prepared for a relationship by becoming what you seek in a partner, and not by expecting that the other person will give to you. Giving is good and receiving is also good, but it has to be a balance. You can't keep giving, 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 and you can't be receiving, receiving, receiving. In a relationship, it has to be very harmonious and it has to be very loving. So unless and until you create that love within yourself, nobody will come and give love to you. So, in my relationship healing workshops, I keep telling people, most of the time couples are like beggars. And why I say that is, because beggars have their own insecurity. कि अगर मैंने 5 रुपए, if I give away my 10 rupees to you, what will I have? Similarly, the other beggar will think, if I give away my 10 rupees, then what will happen? So you want to keep that 10 rupees with you. And that is what couples do. If I give you love, if I become too understanding, then I will be overused. So I will not do that. But I would want that from the other person. But the other person is similarly insecure and he or she may not do that. So what you're doing is, you're giving your life's remote to somebody else. And when you do that, you become a puppet because, if they don't want to please you, they will not give love to you. If they don't want to please you, they will not smile at you and you will get triggered, right?
Yeah.
So in relationship, if you want to approach the soulmate way, it is to become what you really want from the other partner and start living that. And when you do that, you will attract those kind of people in your life.
That's very beautifully said, ma'am. Even I was not so much aware of these things. Like what we do, the same we get, I guess.
Absolutely. So in your life, every person is a reflection of either your light or your shadow. So if you're not liking something, that means
Like
you're
shadow, ma'am, what do you mean by our shadow?
shadow is probably the part of yourself that you don't like. So for example, there are people who would be very,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
who would be very lively, very happy, very cheerful, very loving, very affectionate, but in their deep down they would be miserable. They would be like
Oh.
loners. They would be they would be having anger issues. So when you meet the other,
Like faking kind of people. Faking kind of
no,
people.
see, as a human being, we will have our positives and we will have our negative. So the positive is called the light, and the negative is called the shadow.
Mhm.
So people in your life will either be a reflection of your good qualities or they will be a reflection of your bad qualities. And I want to say, good and bad is very relative, and that's why we call it light and shadow, because
Mhm.
all of us are made up of that. There are bits and pieces of me probably which may not be good for others, or which may not be appreciable by other people because they think that this is not how I'm supposed to be, and which is perfectly all right. So integration of your light and your shadows. So healing is all about understanding the shadow aspect of yourself and start working on the shadows, because positives become stronger when it's like that. For example, there is a light that is coming through a hole, right?
Hmm.
And if you put a small amount of dark screen,
Hmm.
so the light will come partially, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the more you work on removing that gray screen or dark screen, the more light will emanate out from you, right? So that is how we have to approach our life. That is how you become your better version. You become you can be extremely good at something, but probably you have a bad anger, or you do not have great value system, and there are parts about you which need to be improved. The moment you start improving them, your positives become manyfold, right? So I do propagate the teaching of working on your strengths. Working on your strengths is great, but if you are aware about your weaknesses, gradually, silently keep working on building those up as well, because then you start becoming whole. And the whole idea of your existence is to become your best version.
Yeah, that is very very beautiful point. Like in life, we have to acknowledge. Most people don't even see that shadow part of our life.
Yes. And we are too scared to show it to other people because we are so looking for acceptance. We are so looking for appreciation. We are so looking for people to see only the good things. So, social media is all about
Yeah.
showing your light,
Mhm. Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's all about putting your light side in front of people so that people get attracted. But there are also pictures that come out bad. There are recordings that go wrong. There are sometimes cancellations that have to be made because somebody fell sick. So all of that chaos is also happening, but nobody shows that, right?
Nobody posts that. Yeah.
Exactly. So we are actually showing the lighter side of thing, but in life, like for example, for my daughter, she would also see the imperfect me. She would also see the perfect me, and what I want her to understand is accept both with love. Don't create a bias or judgment based on seeing only the good in life. You know have a look at what's not going right also, and then just understand that both of these are part of the same thing. That is what we call acceptance.
Yeah. This brings us to the last round of our podcast, that is a rapid fire round.
Hmm.
What keeps you inspired to do everything you do?
What keeps me inspired to do everything that I do? Okay, I think the whole idea of becoming my better self.
What are your five key learnings to a 20-year-old?
The five key learnings. Okay, so first thing is having a strong value system.
Hmm.
It goes a long way,
Hmm.
and it should start early. The second is gratitude. The more grateful you are for the things in your life, the more you get to be grateful for. The third thing is always remain in student mode. Always keep learning, because you can never know it all.
Wow.
The fourth the fourth thing is creating your own destiny, and you are capable for it. So don't believe on horoscopes. Don't believe on foresayer saying you cannot do this or you cannot do that, because the day you decide what you want to do, nobody can
Stop
stop
you.
you. And the fifth great learning is it is in giving that we receive. It is said by one of my spiritual teachers, and I really hold it dear to my heart. Whatever I give comes back to me many, many times. And that is the dharma for my life. And I want to, that's how Zero Hunger came in. That's how, I want to support people like you who are trying to make a change in their life. And the more I feel I can support people who are growing and evolving on this journey, the more I'm living my purpose in my life. So yeah, these are the five key learnings for my 20-year-old.
Ma'am, what is your best investment you ever made?
Okay, so I think the one best investment that I ever made is in myself. I feel I'm my biggest asset. Initially, when I was working in the corporate world, I used to think that, buying things make you special or expensive. But, those
Mhm.
things can just go away. But the more you invest in yourself, and when I say yourself, when you learn, you read, when you practice, when you acquire skills, your value increases and nobody can take that away from you. And that oozes confidence out of you. So invest in yourself. Biggest investment.
Ma'am, what is one quote you live by?
It isn't giving that we receive.
One book you recommend?
I started my journey with the autobiography of a yogi, and I really love that book. Hmm.
Wow. Yeah, many people recommend me the same actually. I was surprised when you said the same name.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal book in my journey.
Ma'am, even though you have reached so far, I think everyone has some kind of regret, and I want to ask you, what if you had got chance to go back to your 20-year-old self, what are the few changes you wish you could have done, or few advices you given your 20-year-old self?
I always used to feel I could have started early. But yeah, I know it's a journey, but start early with yourself. School education is good, but I would say to each person or every parent, allow your child to get into personal development, because no amount of formal education can bring in the change that personal development can bring in people. So I feel,
Yeah,
start
very true.
early.
Ma'am, before I ask you the last question, I want to let my audience know how they can contact you.
Yeah, so I can be contacted on Instagram. My handle is Energy Guru Sargam. They can also reach me out through my website, which is www.sargammishra.com. So these are the two main way. I'm there on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube. So just Energy Guru Sargam, and you can reach out to me on all my social media handles and through my website.
Ma'am, my last question is, imagine tomorrow all of a sudden you got a chance and you are invited to one of the biggest stadium,
Mhm.
and there people from all over the country will be surrounded to listen to your 1 minute talk. What is the one message you want to give for the generations to come?
Okay, so the 1 minute lesson that I would want to give to people would be, follow your joy and dream big. um, I think the imagination is one of the most important qualities that we all have, but we don't utilize it, or we limit our imagination by filtering it through the perception of what can happen and what cannot happen. So I think when we follow our joy, when we follow our passion, we should use imagination in order to perceive the highest possible goal that we want to achieve in our life, because that is what will help us move past our limiting boundaries, our limiting stories, our limiting circumstances. And if each one of us is living or playing that kind of game wherein we can think boundaryless, where we can think extraordinary, we can create a phenomenal world for the people to come. So follow your joy and unleash your imagination. That would be two aspects or two important points that I would want to share with the world, because that is where the magic can begin for the world to transform into a better place, or we can enter the golden age if we start empowering each and every person on this planet to allow themselves to unleash their imagination and follow their joy.
I really appreciate you taking your time and coming to my podcast. And thank you so much for being here, ma'am. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Shiba. Thank you so much for inviting me.